Look at John Crumpton early. Man, that is something else.
Mhm.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning. Afternoon now?
Afternoon. Yeah, I guess it's afternoon now. Well, we'll get started in a minute or two. Let some people jump on. We have the amazing Anton Stat Brain craziness. It's going to be awesome.
Vince, I stole host from you, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, so we're recording this, so we can always get the recording out. But let's just get started. It's 12:01. So appreciate everybody being here. This is the state of the companies. What we're going to start doing on a monthly basis is kind of all coming together, talking about what's coming up. We're always going to go over events that you have to be that you definitely want to be aware of. Tiffany will take that, and then we'll usually talk about numbers. Talk about what are the two offices doing, what's the market doing. It'll be a great opportunity to just kind of hear about, here's the thing, what the offices are doing, that's what the agent base is doing, right? Both agent bases. So, and all of KW in our market. So it'll be a really good opportunity for all of us to just kind of have conversations. Feel free after Anton and Joseph and I start to kind of get into these numbers, ask questions, collaborate. That's what this forum is all about. So, it'll be fun. So we'll get right to it. Again, we appreciate everybody being here. This new format's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really cool to watch all of the agents from each office come together every month, and it'll be awesome. So, Tiffany, give us a little bit about what's coming up.
All right, so I've got two important announcements to make. First is on the contracts class series that we've been doing is going to be happening regularly on Tuesday. And I think we had like 70 people on the one this last Tuesday, which is awesome. However, we are going to have to cancel the one for this coming Tuesday. So just make note of that. It's already been removed off the training calendars, but it will resume not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that, whatever date that is. I think that's the 8th. So be on the lookout for that. I just wanted to say that as that's a new development that just came out. The second thing is Monday is the deadline. If you want to get your free ticket to Mega Camp, let me share my screen and get you this cool little flyer was made. So if you have a guest that you would like to bring, we need their name, email, and phone number emailed to me, and I'll put my email in the chat as soon as possible so that we can call them. We can make sure that they're ready for Mega Camp, and then we can get that ticket purchased. We're able to do a group ticket situation that's like batching a bunch of tickets. So we're kind of wanting to get all the names together so that we can make that one purchase at one time for everybody, as well as you. So if they're for sure going and on board, we'll purchase your ticket for you as well. So you won't have to worry about that. The more people you bring, the better, right? You'll see this here. It's not just bring one guest and get your ticket free. It's, hey, bring one guest, bring two guests and get your ticket free, the guest ticket and an agent bill, and so on and so forth. So it kind of grows from the amount of guests you want to bring. And a guest is an active agent in the Charleston market at this time. So that's really all I have. Vince, Joseph, Anton, do we have anything other big stuff?
No, I would just say two quick things. So yes, there was just a conflict I had for Tuesday, so I apologize for rescheduling that one or just missing that one, but we'll pick up with the listings the following week. And then for Mega Camp, if you're on the fence or have anybody that's on the fence, this is not a Zoom meeting. The platform they've created on this is amazing. We've had a couple of people, I've done a recording for it, a friend of mine has as well. And they're taking this very seriously to make sure it's high quality stuff that we get. So I know that I'm looking at the people that are on here. This is, most of you are registered, but just if you're on the fence or have someone that is, I'd highly encourage you to go. This is going to be an amazing event.
Yes, and a part of one of the things we're doing as a combined space is we are going to be utilizing the downstairs Mount Pleasant space that eventually is getting rid of at the end of September. However, no one's down there right now. And so we are also looking at ways we can create a virtual space for you, a physical space for you, or a hybrid if you're comfortable as well. So as we collect those names and into September, you'll be hearing more about kind of how we want to spice things up and keep socially distanced through Mega Camp so that you're still connecting with each other and connecting with people from all around the world. So know that's on the forefront of our minds, safety being the first thing, but at the same time too, we still are looking at ways we can be creative and helpful and making this the best experience.
Yeah, and the other piece to that is most of the time, Well, we always get on planes, spend a ton of money on hotels. You're taking a week off from the office and from your business, right, to go and network and listen to all these great minds. You have the opportunity to stay exactly where you are for $100 or bring a guest in for free, right? Have the same experience, if not potentially even better. They did do some things in this platform to allow for the networking to happen. So there's artificial, you're going to have to answer a form about who you are and what's your business do and all that good stuff. And the really cool part about it is that they're going to then match you with people across the country so that you can network with like-minded individuals and people that are in the same situation as you from a business perspective. So it'll be really, 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 really cool. And it's the first time they're ever doing it, and they're not going to fail. They really are putting a lot of resources behind making this the best event ever and the best mega camp ever. So it's really exciting. And I hear that the 2 speakers are going to be unbelievable, or a few of the guest speakers. I heard something about Facebook and Google also having top executives there to talk about the partnership with KW through Command and all that good stuff, and social media marketing and pay-per-click marketing, internet lead generation. So it'll be a really, really cool opportunity to get some great insights into the market as a whole, and real estate as we know it. So that'll be a lot of fun. Anything else that you have to touch?
No, I think that's it. I mean, always there's trainings happening every single day. So be on the lookout for that. Ignite will be starting back up after Mega Camp, so on the 21st. So be on the lookout for that as well. If you've never taken it, or you just want a refresher, it's the revamped Ignite 2.0 system that's all web-based, and it's joint between the 2 market centers, and we got some incredible teachers. So with that, now that I'm thinking about it, we need attendees and we need teachers. And so Adrian has created a really great, clean schedule for everyone. And it's now not teaching all morning. It's now teaching for only 1 hour. So if you've been on the fence of teaching Ignite because you didn't want to have to give up your whole morning, you now have the opportunity to teach by only giving up 1 hour of your time. So please email Adrian Broom, Broom. I'll put her email in the chat as well, if you are interested in taking it or teaching.
Love it. And you want to touch real quick on the, like, how to access the training calendars?
Yeah, so the training calendars are accessible through Google Calendar. So for the Mount Pleasant office, it's under the email klrw341 at kw.com. And for the West Ashley office, it's under the front desk 934 email address, managed by Kristen. And so I can put all the links of that in the chat. And the links are on both Facebook pages underneath the training calendar that's posted in the header of the Market Center, the cover sheet.
I have a question about Mega Camp.
Sure.
Is there a published schedule as to what's going to be presented and when and who the speakers are?
Yeah, so they haven't published the speakers yet. I have heard some things through the grapevine, and what I've heard is awesome. However, if you go to, and we could probably put it in the chat, I'll find it, but to the Mega Camp through resources and events in KW Connect to the Mega Camp page, they've already published the agenda and what's happening. And you can also, all the breakouts. So they're breaking everything out into training tracks. So you've got like commercial, you've got, I think it was leads, listings, and leverage, honestly.
And personal.
And luxury.
Yep.
And personal growth. So you can select the training track, but yeah, we'll put that link in there, Bill, and you can click on that and start to click around.
Yeah, well, my thought process is if we're going to try to get a recruit to come to that, we want to know what's going to be taught and when, so we can share that with them.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all in the agenda. I think Kristen just posted under my name. And there's also, like you were saying, Vince, a morning huddle where they're going to break you up into your groups of like-minded individuals. Well, you'll have the morning huddle. I believe all these times are Central Time, so keep that in mind.
Yep. New day. So we're all adapting, we're all pivoting, and it's fun. That's for sure. So any other questions about Mega Camp or any of the events that are coming up? Cool. So let's transition. I was having a conversation with Anton, and we were kind of talking about just the market in general. He sent me a couple of statistics that I'll read to you. You talked about the market as a whole from a written contract standpoint. We know that it's running real crazy. We know that that listings taken is down, and we also understand that inventory is super tight. But he sent these three numbers to me. He said pre-COVID 2020, so the first 10 weeks, from a contracts written perspective, we were up 10%, or we were up 14%. During the COVID shutdown, the next 8 weeks, contracts written were down 25%. Post-COVID shutdown, so the last 16 weeks, we've been up 28%. It's fascinating. So we figured we would talk a little bit about that, and I'll let Anton kind of take it from here. But talk a little bit about that, Anton, if you could, and what you're seeing, and then we can kind of pull up some of the charts that you had talked about from a market center perspective.
Yeah, and again, it's just trying to break out what's happening due to COVID, what was normal, what seasonality. It's trying to decipher between everything. And you can obviously tell the market started out the year really pretty good. I mean, a 14% increase, on a contract written standpoint, 14% up year over year is pretty strong start to the year. And then obviously when we hit the shutdown mode, a lot of those buyers were frozen, not writing contracts. And after the shutdown, so the last 16 weeks, we're experiencing a few different things in my mind. One is all the contracts we missed in the spring. So we're catching up with those 8 weeks that we were down, some of that pent up demand, unleashing, but also lower interest rates. People moving from outside of Charleston, from the big cities, getting away from, their environment that they can. So all of that combined is creating this huge increase in contracts written, the last 16 weeks. And it's not just the contracts written, obviously it's the closings, and we're not following it up with the number of new listings. So every week on average, we're writing about 500 contracts and we're listing about 400 houses. So that's a recipe for this inventory to keep going down. We started in March, we had 5,600 listings, and I just looked a second ago, so we're at 3,472. So number of active listings is 3,472. So we've lost, almost 2,200 listings in, 6 months, net lost in that time period. So one thing I'm going to do is, so I'm going to share my screen here, and this is just from MLS. So I'm not doing anything special here. So here's MLS. Everybody can see that. So what we're doing is, this is residential and vacant land. So I combined both of them on here. But this shows you what happened in 2019 and 2020. So look at the sold listings. So we started the year fairly strong, right? So we were up every month on closed sales. And then obviously when COVID happened, April and May closings were down, because that was middle of March to kind of, what do we say, middle of May time period for the complete shutdown. So you can see that reflection here. So I mean, we were dropping off on closed sales, but then June picked back up, and look at July. So July closed sales year over year up 33.6%. And I want to put this in perspective to everybody. So this is, keep in mind, this is vacant land too, but I looked, out of these 2,576 closings, 2,426 were residential properties, so not vacant land. So we closed over 2,400 homes in July. And how many listings did I say we have? We have 3,472. That's 1.4 months of inventory in Charleston as a whole. So the pace we're going, we have less than a month and a half of inventory. So again, if you have a listing and it's priced right, it should be selling. If it's not selling, the market is telling you very quickly you're not at the right price, because that type of absorption is what we're seeing. And that's why we're getting into multiple offers, is that, 1.4 months of inventory, we've never seen anything like that in Charleston. So, that's hitting all-time lows. Now, don't pay attention to the August numbers yet, because I ran this on the 25th. It's the 28th. There's a lot of closings the last few days, so don't pay any attention to this yet. But I thought it was also interesting. So look at the year-to-date total. So year-to-date total through August 25th, so 4.8%. So January through August 25th of last year compared to this year, we're up 4.8%. So it's a slight increase because remember, we had some challenges in here to deal with and get back up to speed. But overall, we're up almost 5% on the year-over-year numbers. So that kind of reflects, and again, as things close out and every month, this will continually update over time. Obviously, if we're already ahead of the game from last year, we're going to finish this year, on a higher number of closed sales than we did last year, and to be closing 2,400 homes a month is remarkable. We average, the highest we've been is about 18,800 in a year, and I got a feeling we're going to surpass that here. And it's certainly the last few months we're certainly going at that pace. Dollar volume. So I thought it was interesting. We're 4.8% higher on closed sales. We're 12.9% higher on volume. So what does that mean? That means we're just closing higher price properties, and the properties are moving. So look at the median price. So if we go look at the median price over here, so again, pretty strong start to the year, slowdown period right here. And then now we're back into this, July was 9.1% higher and August was 14.2%. So on the year basis, we're 6% higher on median sales price. Now, I want to caution everybody, and I know I've discussed this before, median sales price increase doesn't mean every single home on average went up 6%. We are just selling higher priced properties. Home prices are going up, yes, but it also means we're selling higher priced properties. Look at the $1 million plus sales. So I don't have the numbers in front of me, but roughly we closed $135 million plus properties in July. Last July, we closed 64. So more than double the number of transactions on that higher end. So part of what's happening here is we're just closing higher priced properties. Not every house went from 281 in June to 315. That's not what happened. It's just the higher priced properties are selling and it's moving that median price up. But look how significantly higher that price point is compared to last year. 275 was a median price last year, 315 was this year. So you guys should check your median price year to date through where you were last year. See, I mean, I know my median price is definitely higher this year than last year. So you should check your numbers and see where you're at compared to where you were last year. And now here's our challenges. So yeah, all that's great. Here's our challenges as a market. So look at the number of new listings. Down slightly, right? The beginning of the year wasn't much. And then obviously you could see here was, our challenge with COVID, right? Everything was slowing down, shut down in this time period here. July, we had a nice little increase in number of new listings. August, we're off so far, but we still have a few days left. But on the year average, we're down almost 5%. So we've sold 5% more properties and we've listed 5% less. That's how you quickly go from 5,600 listings to less than 3,500, is that you're not listing enough properties to keep up with the sales demand. And then look at the dollar volume of the new listings. So when you look at dollar volume of new listings, granted we listed 15.7% more in July, but look at the change in dollar volume, almost 40% higher. So last July we listed $900 million in properties. This July we listed $1.275 billion. So that's a huge increase. So you can see that higher end market is coming out and saying, hey, houses are moving. I'm going to try to get my house sold. I tried to sell it in the past. It didn't work. So you can see that higher end property hitting the market trying to get their houses sold. And then you can see the median list price. So the median list price the last couple months has been significantly higher. And again, that's a reflection of the higher end properties trying to hit the market. And trying to get their houses sold. I mean, we sold over $1 billion in July, on total solds. And this is, keep in mind, this is just, here you go, 1.043, right? So we sold over $1 billion. Look at last July. I mean, just for volume, that's almost $400 million more 1 year later. I mean, that is remarkable. Now, again, some of it is catching up with what we missed here. Look, we were 240 million below. So some of it's catching up, but you can see the beginning of the year. Look at the dollar volume of sold listings. So again, COVID, I know we got the call March 15th or so that kids weren't going back to school. So pre prior to that, look, 25% higher, 18% higher, and part of March was 10% higher. So we were already starting the year at a much higher dollar volume of sales. So look, we're over $1 billion. We'll see what August ends up. Again, this is through August 25th. I wouldn't be surprised. August is another, $1 billion month. So we just have so many under contract. We have about 800 more under contract than we have actively listed. So again, all these numbers, and this is recorded and everything, so it's all there for you. And if need be, we can send out this, but you can find this in your MLS just under inventory and production. So all of this is available. And again, when I go through the stats, we'll talk about things like this, but what I wanted to share now, anybody have any questions on the MLS as a whole, these numbers? I don't see the chat box right now, but.
I saw that Shenandoah asked how much of those are new construction.
Yeah, so I'd have to break down, again, separate out what the new construction is versus, the resales. So we can break that out separately, but it's not on this one here. So the other screen I wanted to share, so I'm going to share another screen here. All right, this one right here. All right, so this new screen that I'm sharing, if I get to it, let's see here. Okay, so this new screen here, so now this one is Keller Williams. So these are all our offices with Keller Williams. So again, the first one was all of MLS. This is our offices. So you can see similar trends here. Started off the year gangbusters, challenges during COVID, coming back out of it. Again, don't pay any attention to August. We're not finished with August. So you can see how the numbers changed and the dollar volume changed. And then the median sales price as well. But we're running slightly behind the market at this point. So when you look at that June, July, we did not bounce back quite as quickly. So we are down. Remember what the MLS was as a whole? They were up 4.8% or 4.6%, I believe. So we are down 7.3% on the year on number of listings sold and down 2.2% on dollar volume. But our challenge is we're not replenishing our listings. So look at our listing count every month this year. So even prior to COVID, we were losing, we're not listing as many properties, and it continued obviously during the shutdown to get worse, but we're still missing even July, June, May, we're missing our listing mark, by 20 to 30%. So, we really need to focus because again, when you got 1.4 months of inventory, do you want to have a buyer or a seller? It's like your goal right now should be focusing on the sellers. Don't ignore buyers, but buyers, and I know a lot of you have talked to, it's like we've all lost out to multiple offers. You're scheduling showings and before you can get to the house, it's going under contract. So yes, buyers are great, but you got to react really quickly when you have 1.4 months of inventory. But if you get those listings and you get them priced correctly, there's no doubt in my mind that you can get them sold. So again, we've been underneath where we should be on new listing count. So it's something really to focus on for your business is that, your list of buyers, probably like every other agent right now, is longer than your list of sellers, but spend some extra time on your sellers and see what they need, in their mind to get done to get their houses sold. You have a lot of people, I have a couple with tenants in them that, the leases are expiring. Well, make sure to convey to them what's happening in the market, because when that lease expires, they're like, oh, thank goodness I can finally sell my house that I've had for 10 years. The timing's right. So you can explain to them what the market is doing for a seller right now. The good news is look at our list price. Our median list price the last couple months has jumped. So, as Keller Williams, we are doing a good job of selling the higher end properties. I mean, look, we were at 330, we're at 336 so far this month, 254 last year. So we have jumped the price point. We just need to get our listing count up. So, you know, that is something, I mean, I think all of us right now are struggling to some degree with getting those new listings on the market. I think you have a lot of sellers that can't find the right property, so they're not willing to list until they find the right property, or they feel like the inventory is too low. But we need to have conversations about getting some of these houses on the market that we are not doing at this moment. I mean, through August 25th, we only had 94, and again, this is per MLS, 94 new listings month to date, and we had 236 last August. So you can see that pretty dramatic drop off on the listing count. Anybody have thoughts to share on the list side challenge that you're trying to get through?
I saw that Trad had a question. He said, what is the overall percentage of difference in list to sold price?
So I'd have to pull that up separately on here. I mean, when I've been looking at most areas, we bumped back up over 98%. So, you know, we were kind of sagging off a little bit there. Like at the end of 18 into 19, that list price to sales price started to drop, but then we've jumped back up over 98% in most areas. But again, it's very specific. I mean, you can look at some areas that are 95% and you can look at some that are 100.
Yeah, if you just do the general MLS search for July, it was at 98.7%. But again, that's anything and everything. So if you change that at all from price point or anything, you can get a couple percentage variance.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of thinking as far as just, you know, that stuff that's in that 250 to 350 range is probably a lot higher or a lot less difference, or, you know, closer to that 100% than, you know, your stuff that's in the 750 to 850 range.
Yeah, so just those changes, and I just use the default random price ranges. So 209 to 348, it's 99.3%, and then over 349, it's 97.8%. So it drops almost 2% just by going over 340. So that sweet spot, yeah, I mean, it's 99.3% of list price to original list price.
Original list price, yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is an important conversation to keep in mind. These numbers are great for looking at what the market is doing overall, but all that matters to your buyer or seller client is what's happening specifically in their price point, in their neighborhood, you know, in their area. So you have to break down those numbers that are relevant to them, because I mean, I've run some lately that, I mean, it's still at 93 to 95%. So, you know, and then you probably have some that are 100% or higher. So it still matters to that client what is happening specifically for the home that they're either interested in purchasing or selling. So it's you know, again, we are heading towards, you know, in seasonality, I mean, it's August 28th. You know, the peak contract, typically the peak contract date in Charleston, if you want to look at it that way, is May 22nd. And I mean, we are still writing contracts at a pace that we can close over 2,000 homes a month. So the seasonality seems to have disappeared in 2020. So, I mean, the pace that we are going at contracts, I mean, we're still almost, last week we wrote, and I don't have it in here in front of me, I think we wrote 542 contracts last week, which was an all-time record. And that's highly unusual for, you know, the third week in August, right? Because usually kids are back in school. So forget seasonality, we set an all-time record, basically typically the first week kids are in school. And what's even more amazing, 542 contracts last year, the same week, we wrote 307. So we had 76% more contracts this week, you know, this last week than we did a year ago. So, you know, it has jumped to the level that we are still catching up on lost time, low rates, everything is still happening, but at some point we got to backfill our listings, because in order to have a transaction, you got to have a seller too. So we really need to focus on filling up our listing pool, because, you know, those are the easy ones in 2020, as long as you're pricing it correctly.
Anton, to your point, in just taking Mount Pleasant, not narrowing anything down, just from the 2 separate zip codes in Mount Pleasant, list price to sale price is 1.5% different.
Yep. So I mean, and again, our transaction count as, the offices, in my opinion, it's, we have to get our listing count up as a whole. And I mean, that includes myself. We all got to go get more listings, because that's going to be, the best time spent. At the same time, you have to have your buyers reacting very quickly. A couple of weeks ago, I had a buyers, and it was Sunday, and a house hit the market, and she says, "Oh, well, let's just go look at it on a Monday." And I said, no, we're looking at it right now. And so she jumped in her car, we went and looked at it and wrote a contract. And I can tell you, if we waited till Monday, she was probably not going to get it, because we're going to be in a multiple offer situation. So, I know some buyers are going to be like, "Oh, you're just trying to be a salesperson," but it's like, if you give them examples of what is happening, they'll trust you that you're not trying to be a salesperson. You're trying to get them the house that they want. So you have to have direct, conversations. I see a note from Crompton on here, and I'm not going to answer that question, because yes, you have sold one more listing than I have this year. So thanks for pointing that out. So I'll work on that the rest of the year, John. So anyway, and I know next week, next Friday is the first week of the month. So what the August numbers should be all hopefully registered by next Friday. So we'll be able to see where the market is. But, at 1,508 closed by August 25th, we're going to surpass 2,000 sales again in August. So our pace is still way above the norm. We just, for the future, for September, October, November closings, it's like we still got to keep our eye on the ball of getting those listings on the market. So.
Love it. Any questions of Anton or Joseph, or of the numbers, what he's seeing? Love it.
So I see somebody said last week's per Doug Holmes was 457. I saw his and it said 542. I mean, I could be mistaken, but I thought I saw 542. And in any case, I mean, we're getting 450 to 525 sales per week, which is phenomenal.
Love it. Well, if there's no other questions, we can kind of start to wrap it up. But I would ask the question, what are you seeing in your own business, right? Always look at your own business and see if you're seeing the same trends. Are you following the market? Are you beating the market? What do you have? Are you happy with that, right? And then what do you have to do so that you can change those numbers and change those results, right? Whether it's trainings, whether it's conversations, what activities, all that good stuff. So yeah, Crompton says, just chase Anton and you will be fine. I love it. Well, any other questions? We'll wrap it up. Thanks, Anton.
Yeah, I have a quick question for Crompton. How many team leader roles were you filling this year and while we're competing?
0. Thanks for sharing.
Love it. Cool. Well, appreciate everybody coming out. Anton, awesome info. Thanks for comparing everything and walking us through that stuff. I guess it's next Friday, right, that you're doing a deep dive into the market statistics?
Yeah, so we'll have all of August numbers by next Friday, so we can, talk more about, some of the specific things we talked about: sales price to list price and days on market and those type of things.
Awesome. So those are on the calendars, so make sure you find the Zoom links. And if you need anything, as always, give us a call. But appreciate you, Anton, and appreciate everybody being here today.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.